The player is the center of the video game. They drive everything to happen. They progress through various events that were created for them to progress through. And as such, there are a lot of communications in video games that break the fourth wall, from tutorials to QTEs to who knows what else. Plenty of things. Those things aren't creepy, though. And, well, sometimes that stuff can really throw you off. Hi, folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 of the creepiest fourth wall breaking video game moments. Starting off with number 10, it's Lost in Vivo, a little lo-fi horror game. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually one of the scariest games in a long time. Very unsettling. One thing that makes it such an effective scare machine is how it's constantly mixing things up and finding new ways to be freaky as hell. It's not just a bunch of tedious jump scares, thankfully. I mean, it does have them, but this thing employs basically every horror gimmick in the book. And that includes breaking the fourth wall. Rather than trying to scare you through more traditional means, this game wants to hit you where it'll really hurt. The save file. We've seen games pull the whole, I just deleted your save, haha, gotcha. We've seen that trick plenty of times. But what makes Lost in Vivo different is how it drags it out and makes you stew about it for a while. Most horror games pull this trick and then give you a nice relief from the tension with a just kidding in some way. A moment or two later. Doesn't take long. They basically go back on it pretty immediately, but in the second episode of this game, they do not go back on it pretty much immediately. What happens is that you go into a save room, same as always, but instead of the usual message, it says save erased. Haha, funny guys, tee-hee. So you leave the room and go back into it expecting the save point to respawn, only now you can't. The lock is broken. Fun. So you just have to keep going through the game not knowing what the deal is with your save. That's when the game throws its next horror at you, trapping you in a room with unkillable monsters who, of course, kill you. The whole sequence is unavoidably panic-inducing. Even if you know the game isn't going to actually delete your game file, there's still that little voice in the back of your head saying, what if the bastards did it? I mean, it's not completely inconceivable. It's a little indie game. Who knows what sickos made it, right? It is a fake out, though. After you die, you appear outside the save room and can continue on like nothing happened, you know? Just a fake out. Just a fake out. Really effective fake out, but a fake out. And number 9 is Pathologic 2, the transformed map. A pretty simple but really disturbing bit of UI element manipulation that doesn't do a lot, but it's unexpected and it's shocking nonetheless. After reaching a certain point in Pathologic 2, I'm not actually sure what's supposed to happen. It either triggers on a certain day or you do a specific quest. I don't really know how it works exactly. But if the stars align and all the prerequisites are met, late in the game, you open up your map and get in the usual map. Is not what happens. Instead, you get this. A picture of a giant bull with its meat exposed in the shape of the town. Hard to describe how disturbing this comes off in the game. It's really something. Something you have to experience on your own, I would say. I'm kind of ruining it here. Sorry, but you play through the game so long and it's weird, but it really never pulls any tricks like this where it actually actively messes with your interface. This is the one and only time it happens, and it does it in a way that's fairly subtle. There's no loud noise to scare you or any buildup of any kind. You just open the map and suddenly, it's a meat map. And this town has been done raw. Ah ha ha! Get it? Raw, like a steak that has been seared, but no other real cooking has gone. I mean, maybe there has been some cooking. We don't need to talk about what raw means. The implications alone are disturbing enough. I mean, what is this really trying to tell us here? Is this town literally the body of this bull god they worship? Butcher imagery is always effectively creepy in games, but you rarely see it applied to a town like this, or really like this in any way. You don't get a lot of meat maps. It's a weird and unsettling image. The fact they don't try to make a big deal out of it makes it much creepier too. They pull this trick in the original game too. Honestly, it might be freakier there, but it also depends on which game you play first. At number 8 is PT, its pause screen. You'd think we'd have run out of things to talk about with PT, but I just keep finding new stuff. For such a small little demo thing, they really jammed a lot in there. Along with the other unpleasantness in PT we've talked about ad nauseum since the demo came out more than, 10 years ago? Yeah, I guess Googling dates can be a jump scare too, Christ. Yeah, so, new things. So the scares don't even stop in the safety of the pause screen. Normally a place of solace in horror games, a place where you can stop and collect your thoughts or work through your next move in safety, the pause screen doesn't feel so safe. Sometimes on the pause screen, you'll hear a demonic voice speaking backwards in the menu. What makes this so unsettling is how infrequent it is. There's players who have gone through the game multiple times and never encountered it, so it does trigger randomly. It's pretty surprising, to say the least. Trying to replicate it, almost impossible. At least for me, I tried to figure out when and where this is supposed to happen, and I came up with nothing. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have any idea what is up with this voice. If it's talking to the character, the one in the game, or if it's talking to the player, I don't know. But either way, it's a fourth wall break. It betrays the sanctity of the pause menu. Fairly diabolical in its execution. And it's so rare you might think you were just imagining things in retrospect, but it's real. There's plenty of documented evidence of it. You're not crazy, well, at least regarding this. I don't know you, maybe you're crazy in other ways. And number 7, Spec Ops: The Line. You'd think it'd be impossible to take a loading screen and make it scary, but my god, this game manages to do it. Not like, I'm about to die scary. It's not viscerally frightening or anything, but it's unnerving. It puts you in the off-kilter headspace of the main character, makes you question what's real, and it's using a technique that's become entirely obsolete in modern gaming. With SSDs, long loading screens are quickly becoming a thing of the past, but back in the seventh console generation, that's when Spec Ops came out. Anyway, they were ubiquitous back then. And given that real estate that they pretty much had to figure out something to do with, every game of that era, or at least pretty much every game, would impart some helpful information during loading screens to give you something to look at while nothing at all was happening. I mean, loading is actually a lot of stuff happening, but, it feels like nothing. Usually, this is just banal gameplay tips and stuff like that, and Spec Ops: The Line does actually have quite a few pretty forgettable ones, but as the mental state of the main character begins to fracture, so too does the loading screen. Instead of messages about pressing X to reload, you start seeing stuff like, do you even remember why you came here? And you are still a good person. And they get more unhinged from there. It's actually pretty impressive just how much the focus of the entire discourse around the game is dedicated to these loading screens alone. They're just pictures and text. Altogether, it's less than a paragraph of words, but people have entire theories about what this game is trying to say about war and video games. And all that high-minded stuff doesn't really matter for our purposes. I'm just here talking about stuff that's a little freaky. Maybe you even think it's pretentious nonsense, but you gotta admit that it was a little unnerving seeing some of this stuff the first time. And number 6 is Undertale. Now, this is a game that shatters the fourth wall at every available opportunity, but most of the time it's not scary. It can be odd, sometimes funny, occasionally sinister, but never scary. They save that for the very end, and only under extremely specific circumstances. You already know the genocide route. I don't need to explain it. But, let's say for the sake of argument, you're new to gaming. So, short version is you can play through the game by either sparing all the enemies to unlock the golden ending, which is the best one, or you can do the exact opposite and kill every enemy so that you kill everything in the entire game. Like enemies just stop appearing, towns clear out, the music stops. It's the pure evil game through that nets you the worst possible ending. How things wrap up in the genocide ending is pretty meta, also pretty confusing on its own. But what happens is that you meet the first child, a being of pure evil that wants to destroy all of existence. Some players might refuse their offer, so they can go back and play the main game again and get the good ending. But if you try to start a new ending, the child appears again and says the only way to reset everything is if you, the player, not the character you're playing as, but you, John Q. Public, playing the game, you have to give him your soul. Sounds like an empty threat, and it seems like it is for the rest of the game because nothing else really happens, except at the very, very end of the golden ending, when you use the power of friendship to save all your cartoon buddies. The super happy ending does play, and then in the final stinger where it seems like happily ever after, your character's face changes to the first child and the game instantly shuts down. There's actually 2 different endings depending on your final choice in the golden ending, but if you choose to go back home, then the final shot is even worse, showing a picture of all your friends with X's over their faces, implying you killed all of them. So there's no escaping the bad ending outside of literally going into the game files and deleting everything. Your choice follows you no matter what, and ruins what would otherwise be a happy ending. And number 5 is Pony Island. Before Inscription, there was Pony Island, in many ways the prototype for Inscription, testing out and playing around with a lot of the ideas that got developed further in that game. If you've played Inscription already, most of Pony Island's tricks will not faze you. Emphasis on most. It does save its most surprising and freaky twists until the very end. So near the end of the game, which is really more of a game within a game within a game, you have to take on a demonic computer program. Don't ask me. I'm not going to explain it. I don't even know if I fully understand it. You have to play this one to see for yourself. So this sounds like an easy task. All you have to do is pay attention to it and write whatever word it wants you to remember. And number 4 is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Pretty much the last game you would expect to do some freaky fourth wall stuff. Or really non-freaky fourth wall stuff if I'm really thinking about it. Just any fourth wall stuff. But anyway, there are weird looking monsters. I'm not going to lie, some of them are kind of freaky. Not something I would like to conjure in a dream per se. But it's also about as far from a horror game as you're going to get. So the fact they managed to sneak in something so unnerving in the final battle of the Iceborne expansion, yeah, it's impressive. It's subtle enough that you might not even notice it at first, but in the second stage of the Iceborne final boss, its eyes don't track the player character like normal. Instead, they're looking at you, the player. The thing already has a little bit of an unnerving presence, but when you notice its eyes are, like a painting in a haunted mansion just like staring at you, and not your character, you, it gets under your skin a little. I've seen this kind of claim a lot where like somebody says a character looks at you, and it's fairly inconclusive if that's actually what it is, or if it's what's supposed to be happening. But here, that's what's going on. Those eyes are dead on looking at the camera. They don't bother following the character model at all. It's not exactly scary, but it's a strange choice that comes out of nowhere and feels off. And number 3 is Black and White 2, another game that kind of comes out of left field with its freakiness. You're not gonna play a god sim like Black and White expect to be like scared or anything, but that's also what makes it effective. You gotta give it to Peter Molyneux for all of his bluster. When one of his games actually managed to come out, they would do interesting stuff. Yeah, he is prone to exaggeration, and I am under-exaggerating that statement, but let's ignore that and talk about this weird-ass feature for now. This fourth wall break happens only during the night, and I don't mean the in-game night, I mean console clock night, real night, nighttime for you. When you stop the game and just sit and listen, sometimes really freaky thing happens. Inexplicably, this game will sometimes whisper your name, like literally your name. What's especially freaky about it is it doesn't take the name from your in-game profile. It does do that, but if there's nothing compatible there, it takes it from your Windows login information. So if you have a common name and use it for either your login or your profile name, it will start whispering at you totally unprompted. It's pretty creepy. Creepypasta stuff. Functionally, totally pointless though. And number 2 is Faith Chapter 2, the newspaper. This is one of those games that lulls you into a false sense of security before completely tearing it all down. And it does so in what I would call one of the most bizarre and unsettling moments I've ever seen in a horror game. The Faith trilogy starts off with the relatively stable Chapter 1, which mostly amounts to a basic exorcism story, wrapped up in extremely simple Atari 2600 style graphics and Newgrounds horror style gameplay. Manages to be fun and interesting, but in Chapter 2, they start flexing their creative muscles, and there's a standout fourth wall breaking moment. It's really something, let's say. For most of the chapter, it's relatively the same as the first. You're exploring, solving puzzles, and exorcising demons. As the game goes on, there's some weird visual flourishes every once in a while, but nothing too unexpected. And then you find this newspaper. It is surrounded by demonic symbols, and that probably shouldn't bode too well for it. But when you pick it up, it's just your usual expository note like any other horror game. You scroll down to read the rest, except the words start to run together and the text just starts changing color. The writing is changing to something else, and your controller's vibrating, and what the hell, your guy just melted into a flesh puddle, and now you're wandering through a field of bodies. What is happening? This is a magnificent fourth wall breaking moment. You're not even safe reading a note. And it goes so hard, and not just a weird little cutaway type thing. It's a part where you're a pathetic lump that lasts for a while, and it's disturbing as hell, despite being a handful of pixels on screen. The vagueness actually adds to the disturbing atmosphere, and how it ends is super unsettling and weird. You just pass under a bridge and suddenly you're human again. Was this a hallucination? A vision? Did it actually happen? Can't tell you. And finally, at number 1 in Metal Gear Solid 2, I Need Scissors 61. Believe it or not, I sometimes say this out loud to people, and outside of the people I work with, no one has any idea what the hell I'm saying. So, it's actually an all-time classic, an obvious choice for a list like this, but I gotta mention it, because, what else could be number 1? It's one of the most memorably bizarre moments, not just in the Metal Gear Solid series, but, pretty much any game. It's also hugely influential. You gotta imagine most of the stuff on this list wouldn't exist without Metal Gear Solid 2's trailblazing efforts in the field of fourth wall breaking weirdness. I'm of course talking about the end game when you're in Arsenal gear and you start getting contacted by Colonel Campbell, only he's not quite acting like himself.
I need to locate Snake.
He was never factored into the simulation. Leave him out of this.
Colonel, are you under orders from the Patriots?
Your role, that is mission, is to infiltrate the structure and disarm the terrorists.
My role? Why do you keep saying that?
Why not? This is a type of role-playing game. The point is that you play out your part, and I expect you to turn in a perfect performance.
It's here where it's revealed that Campbell, or the Campbell you've been talking to at very least, isn't the human character from the first Metal Gear Solid game, but an AI duplicate, and he's starting to malfunction. He's speaking in nonsense, shouting at you to turn the game console off right now. It's both actually really funny and also unsettling.
Raiden, turn the game console off right now.
What did you say?
The mission is a failure. Cut the power right now.
What's wrong with you?
Don't worry, it's a game. It's a game just like usual.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
What are you talking about?
The entire fourth wall gets thrown out the window in this final sequence. Even Solid Snake gets in on the action. It's all so weird, and it's hard to tell what's supposed to be real and what isn't. The whole thing feels like a dream sequence, only it's not. And also you're naked. Not like Naked Snake either, like you're Raiden and you're nude. I need scissors! Is a thing you do not want to hear in this type of a situation. The entire ending is just one long subversion of expectations, which a lot of people argued at the time doesn't make for a particularly exciting climax, but it's one of the most mind-melting conclusions to any game ever made. Keep in mind, this was back in 2001. This series wasn't nuts. The original Metal Gear Solid game, for all its weirdness, was mostly a straightforward story. The rest of the series is like that too, of course. They allude to fourth wall breaking things. They talk about game mechanics. I always enjoy when they tell you to press the action button. That always cracks me up no matter what. But in Metal Gear Solid 2, the fourth wall gets smashed to pieces, and it's part of the story. It's not a vision or something you can overlook. It is the main narrative. The crazy AI colonel shouting out, "I need scissors, 61, is the game. In a game full of strange turns, it's the absolute peak of madness, and it's glorious and a little disturbing to behold. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.